even through our time, you look through the 1900s and things like that, civil rights era, there was a lot of rape and things that took place to our sisters in that time too, because they abused our women. And they still kept that same stereotype.
So you saying that this has been going on for years?
It's always been going on. Now, even prior to us coming to America. Okay. Well before that, it was done. So remember, he said these signs will be on our people for forever. Meaning from the time that we disobeyed to the time that we're in today, you'll still see the same things. Even look at the music industry, right? What type of music do our women make?
Currently?
They make
currently,
yes.
Oh yeah, slut music.
Sexual music, right?
If they don't, it don't sell.
That's right. But here's the thing. Where your purse? It said that we would become a proverb wherever we went, meaning those stereotypes, we would actually live up to them. So when people see our women and say, okay, they're loose or whatever, look at their music. What else do they have to go off of? You see, I'm not saying that you guys are, I'm not saying that. But we live up to some of our stereotypes through our actions, through what we show people. So if we're making music about sleeping around, F-nigga free, all this other stuff, of course they're going to have a particular idea of how we are, because that's all we're making music about.
We got the idea about ourselves just from our own music.
Exactly. So even look at the youth.
Way more negative because they can't even identify.
Look at the children that are coming up. Those children want to be, those young girls want to be like the women they see in the music videos. Right. It's like I have a sister-in-law, right? I've watched her grow up from 6th grade all the way to now. She used to be a young, innocent girl to now she got the big old eyelashes, she got the weave. She's still young. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you dressed like that? Because she got it from somewhere. Before when I met her, she wasn't like that. Now she got older, now she looked a little crazy. But that's like the trend for our sisters because they got it from somebody. It's a stereotype that was established and it continues to be perpetuated all throughout the years. Because you can't make money in the music industry without making that type of music.
Right.
You can't do it. Same thing with the men. They can't make money without a certain type of lifestyle, showing you a particular type of thing on the music. So those stereotypes that people see, we live up to them to some extent. Not saying that everybody does, but to some extent we live up to them because of the circumstances that we put ourselves in.
And it's being glorified.
It's glorified, right. Exactly. It's okay for us to be baby mamas, baby daddies. I mean, it's not okay, but some people push it as if it is okay. When you make music that everybody loves about F-nigga free. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Every man is not a deadbeat. Every woman is not a bad woman, but they perpetuate it that way. So the youth that are coming up, that don't know any better, just say, well, men ain't shit. Or women, or the men say, women ain't shit, because that's what they're seeing in the music. So they come up with their own conclusion based upon what they see. Or one or two situations. You see what I'm saying? But these are the things that we would go through as we come up through our captivities, because we broke God's commandments. We got far away from what God said it told us to do. God told us that we're supposed to marry the people that, if we sleep with somebody, the first person you sleep with, according to the Bible, you're supposed to marry them. How many of us, let me ask this question. How many of us would think twice about who we slept with if we had to marry them if we dealt?
Yeah,
you see my point? Because God set us up. God set our people up to be a holy people. Not jumping from person to person, but my point is, we got far away from it. So when you look at our people, we are the complete opposite of what God said to be. He said, take care of your kids. We said, no, I'm going to be a baby mama. He said, take care of your kids. I'll be a baby daddy. You see what I'm saying? We said, we're going to do opposite of what God said. That's why we're on the bottom. Because we decided to do opposite of what God set us up to do. Question?
So is there anything against stepfathers?
You mean being a stepfather?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, stepfathers, like, okay, so you say you're supposed to be married to, well, what if she got kids already and all that?
I mean, that's
the situation. They coming like that.
There's plenty of people that step in to be a father to a child.
There's something wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that.
No. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But let's keep going. Let's keep reading. 37.
Verse 37. Thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword.
So it said we become an astonishment. So it's not something amazing. So when people see our people and they say, they'll tell their children, they'll tell their daughters or their sons, don't marry them for particular reasons. or they'll see how we kill each. Remember, he said it will become an astonishment. You see the way that we kill each other. To other nations looking in, imagine how they see us. When they look at us and see that there's another murder on the news, another rape, another whatever it is that we do, they're gonna look in and see that this is amazing that they treat each other this way. That they kill each other over a block, over a color, over reputation.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Looking in as another nation, you look at them like this is astonishing. This makes no sense.
All right, while we're speaking on the Bible, right? I ain't no Bible connoisseur.
Yeah.
I've seen the word prostitute in there before.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, were they really prostituting back then?
Yeah. The same thing.
So,
We go into it, but yeah, it is. Huh?
Is it a crime though? Like, is it really against it? Like, I'm
It's against God, yeah.
Okay. So they was doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me, that's my point. People think the Bible is like a weird fairy tale book that it doesn't make any sense. But the Bible is just real life. From back then to now.
It just depends. It contradicts itself. But like I said, you can pick and choose what you want to
No, you can't.
take. I mean,
but I'll say this. A lot of people say
because they murder and kill, they going crazy.
I understand. I'm showing.
So that's why I meant by pick and choose, though.
No, that's the point, though. The reason why you see things like murders or whatever, the laws are very particular. The reason why the Bible is misunderstood, the reason why people think it contradicts itself, is because they don't understand who it's for and what it's about. So particularly the Bible, like we're reading right now, we're talking about curses that came upon who? The Israelites. Are we talking about Chinese right now? We talking about Japanese? We talking about anybody else? We're talking about one particular people. The whole entire Bible, as you read it, is talking about one nation of people, and that's it. So when it talks about thou shalt not kill, it's talking about one particular thing. When it says thou shalt not be a prostitute, it's talking about one particular thing. When it's talking about keeping the laws, it's talking about one particular thing. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna finish this.
I'm saying thing or people, so you telling me right now that the whole Bible is speaking on the Israelites. Because it can't be.
I'm gonna show you.
We already saw it. You can start at Adam and Eve. And then break it down from Cain and Abel.
You can, but it goes.
so
But as you
it's not
read
the
those stories,
Israelites,
it goes into the same people. So when it talks about Cain and Abel, Cain and Abel's lineage goes into Shem, and all the way down it goes into Israel.
Because you
all
already
these back.
got two grown babies that is not Adam kids. You know what I'm saying? He never impregnated Eve.
Speak on it.
He never impregnated Eve, and then they already grown. They grown.
How you know that? Who
It tells you this.
Who say they never get anything? How much did he have kids?
She got impregnated by God. Read where it says that Adam impregnated her.
One second. I don't want to get off the point. I want to finish this. We can deal with any other question, but I want to finish.
Yeah, we going back to this.
So I'm going to go to Psalm 147 in verse 19. I want to show you something. The Bible was only written for one particular people. That's the thing that we misunderstand. When you look at Christianity, that's why Christianity is such a poisonous thing.
And it's not just one person that wrote the Bible.
Right, I understand. I'm saying that Christianity itself is such a bad thing because it becomes all inclusive. But the Bible was never meant to be all inclusive. So when you look at the Arab's history, right? An Arab man's history, is that your history? The Arab man's history? Is the Chinese history your history? Is the white man's history your history? So you see how that's not all inclusive? The Bible is our history. It's not all inclusive. The issue is that we've been taught that the Bible is everybody's book, and it's not. It's not a fairy tale book. It's not a religious book. It's a history book. That's the miscommunication, is that it's a history book. And we don't even know that it's our history, first and foremost. And then we try to extend it to everybody else. But it's not meant to be like that.
So you telling me that King James, one of the most notorious slave traders, and I mean, King James was crazy. Before he wrote the Bible, he wrote a book called Demonology.
He didn't write the Bible.
I mean, but his version of
It's translated.
Translated, but it's the same token. It's still a collective. It's a collection of
No,
books.
not translated. It spells like a, is that a bad thing? Spells?
Witchcraft?
I don't know if it's witchcraft. I just spell. I'm talking about the term. Like,
How can a spell be witchcraft?
Well, sir, I don't want to get too far. I'll explain all the miscellaneous questions in a second, all right? I just want to stay on this point, all right? Read Psalms 147. We're talking about the Bible being one people's
Don't
book.
forget that question.
Psalms 147. Hold all your questions. We answer whatever question y'all got. 147 and 19.
Psalms chapter 147 and verse 19.
Uh-huh.
He showeth his word unto Jacob.
So God said he showed his word to Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So when you read about Jacob, it's referring to the nation of Israel. Go ahead.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
So his laws and the judgments for breaking those laws, he showed those to Israel. Go ahead.
He has not dealt so with any nation.
So he said he has not dealt so with any nation. What does that mean?
He hadn't dealt with any other nations outside.
Yeah, let's read it again.
What is,
I want everybody here. Read it again.
He has not dealt so.
No, read from the top.
He showeth his word unto Jacob.
So his word encompasses the whole Bible. Go ahead.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
So the laws that he created, or the laws that he set up, they were given to Israel. Go ahead.
He has not dealt so with any nation.
So he said he has not dealt so with any nation. What does that
outside
mean?
of Israel, right?
So that means that everything.
Any other nation.
That means that the judgments that he cast, that means that the laws he created, that means that the word he gave was given to only one person, and
For
that
a
was
particular
it,
group of
for
people.
a particular group of people. Now read Amos 3 and 3. I'm going to show you. Because that's why you see certain things like all the things that we do. We're not the only people that kill. We're not the only people that steal. We're not the only people that sell drugs. But you see the harsher punishment is always on us.
Shalom, Israel. This is Bishop Nathaniel. I want you to know that you can view all our Sabbath classes live on IUIC TV. That's right, I said on IUIC TV. Download the app today. Shalom.
There's a reason why it's such a heavy, much heavier judgment for us. Read that.
Amos chapter 3 and verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord has spoken against you, O children of Israel.
So who are we talking to here?
Children of Israel.
All right, go ahead.
Against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying.
Very specific. He said, these are the people that I brought out of Egypt. Now, people may argue there was other people that came out with. There are other people that came out with, but the ones he cared about, that he specifically took out of Egypt, was the Israelites. If everybody else came along, that's fine. You can do that. But these are the people that I brought. Go ahead.
You only have I known of all the families of the earth.
He said he knew everybody.
You only have I known of all the families of the earth.
So God said, I created everybody, but you only have I known. You're the only people that I'm dealing with. Go ahead.
Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities.
So because I dealt with you, I gave you the law, thou shalt not kill. I gave you, thou shalt not steal. And I gave you the judgments for them things. I'm going to hold you accountable for it. I don't care about everybody else. I'm going to hold you accountable for it. That's why you see the harsher judgment on our people when we do things. Because everybody does the same, initially they do the same things. Everybody commits the same evil. But God said, I made you to be special. Go to Deuteronomy 7:6. He said, I made you to be special to me. So you have to act a certain way. This helps us identify who these people are. Because you have to look around and see, why is it that black people are still at the bottom? We still celebrate MLK Day. We still celebrate the things that Malcolm X did and all these different black figures did. But for some reason, we're still in the same position. So we have to sit there and think, when is it ever going to change? Is it going to change? The reason why we're in a situation is because we are a particular people. We have a particular standard that we never upheld. Read 7 and 6.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
So once again, this is Moses speaking to who?
The Israelites.
The Israelites. He said they're a holy people. What is holy? Anybody know what holy means? Say it again.
Pure at heart.
No. Set apart. Set apart, yes, set apart. They were set apart. Remember, he had all the nations he created. He set apart one nation, Israel. Go ahead.
The Lord thy God has chosen thee.
So he said, I specifically chose you. Go ahead.
To be a special people unto himself.
So something special. If you have a special pair of shoes, are they the same as the other shoes?
No.
You got a special outfit, is it the same as the rest of the outfits? No. So he said, you are special unto me. You are different to me compared to the other nations. Go ahead.
Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
So did God say he made Israel to be equal to everybody? Did he make them to be below everybody? He said, I made them to be above all people. Go ahead.
The Lord did not set his love.
So I read those things to show y'all that the Bible is talking to one particular people. The reason why it's confusing is because we include everybody where they're not actually meant to be included. So when you see these different things happening, when you see, you look at like Christian churches and things of that nature, they're so prevalent is because they keep pushing that same ideology that everybody is one, that all people are equal, that God is white and Christ is white. That's essentially what you're saying. But my point is that the Bible's only for one people. I hope that, is that clear?
Who's saying that?
I mean,
Who's saying that it's white and all that?
That's like the math.
That's the agenda.
That's the agenda that's pushed.
No, but you said they saying it. Who said it? You said it.
now you talking
I
about
don't have, I'm saying it's just a church.
like
Baptist.
like that.
Yeah, it's the agenda that's pushed. Remember
Where
like,
they getting it from?
remember like with slavery. When they were in slavery, right? They taught us Christianity, right? They taught us slaves obey your masters. They said it's a good and a righteous thing for the slaves to obey their masters. So essentially, they taught us also that Christ was white at the time. Remember the y'all have the flyer. On the flyer, if you open it up, we should have brought the signs.
They give you the what's the name?
These flyers are terrible. By the way.
You talking about the description of God, but y'all got the picture in there?
Yeah, it's a bad flyer. But at the bottom, you'll see those images. Those images are usually the images that they depict as Christ. Not the black one, but the white ones at the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're all familiar with those images.
But that's not how he.
But that's not how he looked.
Yeah,
That
how
was
he
the
described it.
it's a man. His name is Caesar Borgia. That's the man that took those pictures
Exactly.
in the Renaissance.
Was that Caesar or was that like his son? Once somebody was a painter.
I think it was Caesar.
It was Caesar, right?
Caesar, yes.
Exactly. And somebody painted him, and that's what image they ran with, right?
I thought it was Leonardo da Vinci's nephew or something.
Yes.
I can't remember.
thought it was
I can't remember who exactly it was, but he's the one that painted him. He's the one that had the artwork and everything. Yeah. But that was the image. That was the new image, the Renaissance image of Christ, and they pushed that image to our people. So when you look on and go into churches, you always see on the cross. You always see a white image of Christ. Even some of these entertainers, they'll get the Jesus piece, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a big old face of
It's
a white
always
man.
Exactly.
So my point is, why is it that we're following a different, we're worshiping somebody that doesn't look like us? You look at the Buddhists, they have an image that looks like a God that looks like them. You have the Arabs, they have a God that looks like them. You have the Caucasians, they have a God that looks like them. You have the Chinese, they got a God that looks like them. You get down to black and Hispanic people, they have gods that look like white men.
Yeah.
Because they were conquered by these people. So read verse 64. The Bible explains all of these things. Read verse 64.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people.
So God said he would scatter us among all people. Meaning we would go to Alaska, we're in Africa, we're in Russia, we're in anywhere you think about, we were there. How did we get there? How did we get to these different lands?
Uber, they dropped us off.
They dropped us off. We got there via slavery. A lot of us got to different places via slavery. Even, and just touch on the point with the Native Americans, the Native Americans were not always in this land, they traveled here. But they were here prior to Columbus, prior to all the different conquerors that came here.
Remember I asked you a little earlier, you still think that we were here too?
The Native Americans are us. We are the same people.
Exactly.
So yes, we were here.
Yeah.
But the natives, people that we know as the natives and Hispanics were already here prior to 1492.
But they wouldn't be, or you wouldn't consider them Israelites?
They are Israelites. The Israelites are
Even though they were still here though, right? Like,
yeah.
because we still got the transatlantic trade, the transatlantic slave trade, but then you have, if you had natives that were here.
Right, but this is the thing. When you look at the Israelites, right, remember we're still talking about the Israelites. The Israelites had many slaves. They had the transatlantic slave trade, they had the sub-Saharan slave trade, they had the Assyrian captivity, they had Babylonian, Greek, Rome. All these captivities, we lived them together.
But even if it was the native here, it's like basically the lineage still gonna go back to.
Yeah, it's the same lineage.
Right.
Because the curses that we read, remember the curses are what identify who we are.
Right.
These curses happen to the Native Americans. The Native Americans are cursed in their cities. They live in reservations. Reservations look just as bad as the ghettos.
Worse.
They look worse than the ghettos. They receive the same poor education. They receive the same poor housing. They receive the same injustices that we receive. It's just they don't put it on the news. They put black stuff on the news because it's an agenda.
To perpetuate the image.
Exactly. They make it seem as if black people are the only ones suffering.
Right.
You have Latinos, Hispanics that go through the same things. They all fit the same curses. Hispanics and Native Americans went into slavery when Columbus came. He took some of them back to Spain. So all of them went into the same things that we did. They're the same people. So read 64 again.
And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the end of from one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there shall you serve other gods.
So God said He's going to send us to every other land, but when we get there, we're going to serve other gods. So get this: everywhere we go, we serve the God of that place. We serve Buddha. We serve Muhammad. We serve Islam. We served white Jesus.
What verse is that?
64.
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. So we've served everywhere we go, we serve their God. That's what happens.
Let me ask you this: so, like, when it comes to the Israelites and how you guys are at your church, so is it God being worshipped or is it Jesus? It's not the same person as far as I'm concerned.
They're not. We worship God.
Right. That's what I just wanted to ask.
Yeah, we worship God.
You have a lot of people putting more emphasis on Jesus sometimes and not on God.
There's still a heavy emphasis on God, on Jesus, because the only way to God is through Jesus.
So
So you can't have one without the other.
So do you
I don't believe that.
do y'all believe in the Holy Trinity? No.
No. Trinity doesn't exist because you're saying that they all are separate entities, but they're all, you're all saying that the Trinity basically states that that God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit are the same. They agree, they're all in the same realm, but they're not the same people. Christ himself is a particular entity. God is another entity. The Holy Spirit is not an entity.
But see, my thing is like that's the Holy Trinity. You know what I'm saying? Father, Son, and
But where did they get? They got that
then
from
you have an African
Catholicism.
Trinity that'll be man, woman, and child.
Well, no.
I don't believe in nothing that's not including women. That's me personally.
What doesn't?
Ain't no man never had no
But what
baby.
doesn't? That is my thing. Where is women not included?
In the Holy Trinity.
He said they don't believe in the Holy Trinity.
But yeah, that's what we don't believe in it.
But that's what the Bible is teaching, the Holy Trinity.
It does not. I'm telling you.
So they don't mention, the Bible don't never mention the Holy Trinity. So where did they get it from?
It's man-made. It's made up. That's what happens when the white man takes the book and switches everything around.
That's why I asked you, that's why I was asking why y'all read from the King James Version when it's the most manipulated version of the Bible.
Listen, you have so many different versions out there. You have New American.
There's only one of you. How many versions do you
I
use?
just want to pull it up so I can give you all that.
But you get what I'm coming from though? Like, come on now, like, this is the big translator, like, it's just like the Jordans. You got the originals, then you got all the multicolors.
So look, I'm on my Bible app, right? You have the Common English Bible, you have the American Standard Version, you have the Contemporary English Version. You have a ton of versions. I'm scrolling. These are all versions of the Bible.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
they do it for a purpose.
So wouldn't you agree that the older version of the Bible would be the more accurate?
That's what this one is.
Not King James, no, it's not.
Anything
That's the latest version.
Anything that's written in some other language.
It's not.
No, they still
Because
got,
understand, I wish we had the
still got the
Zondervan. Well, this is the
1911
thing.
Bible that has
the-
more books
the
in it
Zondervan-
than the original. I mean, well,
The 1611 always had more than this.
Yeah.
They separated
They
the
took
books. They
books
took out the Apocrypha. There's other books that we just don't have. But this is the thing. The Lord gave us what we needed. Now, there's versions that are changing different things. But here's the point, is that when King James translated this version, he took different scholars and different people to help translate it from the particular language it was in to Latin, to English, to things that we could understand. Why did it have to be translated?
But you still hear other, because
But
people
here's the
couldn't
thing,
understand it.
you have to ask, why did it have to be
I
translated?
would say because people couldn't understand it, so they
There's a reason why. 1619 it got translated? 1611. 1611, right? When did we go into slavery? 1619. It had to be translated. The Lord put it on the King's Spirit to translate that Bible to a language that we could understand. We had to be able to understand the Bible. Now that we learn English, we can understand the Bible. It was translated into Latin, all these different things. We had to be able to understand the Bible. That's why it got translated. So all the other versions they came up with, that's because they came up with that stuff. They always come up with things to mislead our people. So I'm gonna give you an example. Go to go to Jeremiah 14:2. Is there color in the Bible? What I mean by color is, are colored people in the Bible?
Yeah, but
You mean like mention as colored people?
Yeah, like they'll say this person is black.
no, they
No,
talk
they
about
say-
red. They bring out the red man.
They bring out the red man,
Esau.
right? They bring out him, but is anybody else in the Bible specifically mentioned as black?
You got
No, they say bronze
and
skin.
particularly talking about Jesus when they refer to him.
You talk about Jesus, but there's a ton of them. The reason I say that is because these other versions that are created to mislead you and keep you far away from knowing that there are black people in the Bible. Because when they teach the Bible, they teach it as a white man's book. They teach it that Paul, Peter, Christ, all these other people, all these famous people in the Bible, even Moses. Whenever you watch a movie with Moses, he's white. With Jesus, he's white. With Mary, she's white. Everybody's white. They want you to see that this Bible is not yours. This is not your history. You have no connection. You have no connection to God. That's what they try to do. So I'm gonna show you some. Go to what did I say? Jeremiah 14, verse 2.
Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. Judah mourning in the gates thereof language.
So Judah is one of the tribes of Israel. Go ahead.
They are black unto the ground.
The Bible is very specific that they are black unto the ground. It gives you a very clear description on them. Read Job 31 and 31. So there's a bunch of different things you'll read that will show you that the people in the Bible are actually black people. Even y'all familiar with Joseph? They mistook him as a Joseph was the right hand man in Egypt. You think a white boy would be the right hand man in Egypt back then?
Ain't no white people in the whole
But
book
that's
of the
my
Bible
point.
lives in Africa.
But that's my point. They'll teach you that the people in the Bible are white, but then they'll say Joseph is white, but we know Ramses was black as night. How is he basically the son of Ramses, but he's white? Makes no sense. It shows you that these people are all black people. Even Paul. Paul was mistaken for an African. Moses was mistaken for an African. Why? Because these people were black people. But in churches, they don't teach you that. They just teach you prosperity. God loves everybody. You're going to get the kingdom as long as you do, as long as you believe.
You gotta die first, though.
That's all they teach you.
They
That's
want
why
you
we
to
teach.
die before you start living.
That's why we try to teach our people purpose out of the Bible. A lot of our people leave the church because they don't find a purpose and they don't see themselves in the Bible. But that's why we come and we teach these things. We try to teach our people that they are actually, in fact, in the Bible. Their blood forefathers are in the Bible. So read Job.
Job chapter 30 and verse 30. My skin is black upon me.
So he very specific. He said, my skin is black upon me. In other versions, they will switch that around and make it look like something different. That's why we go with the older versions. He said, my skin is black upon me. One more, Wisdom of Solomon. 1 and 5. And not Wisdom of Solomon, Song of Solomon 1 and 5.
Song of Solomon chapter 1 and verse 5.
So everybody knows who Solomon is, King Solomon, right? Everybody familiar with him? Go ahead.
I am black, but comely.
He said, I am black but comely. So it's the same thing. It's like saying I'm black and beautiful. He's saying the same thing. But you don't see these things. You don't notice these things in the Bible when you go into church because they don't teach these things. That's
They
what
don't
we try
read
to do.
them.
Huh?
They don't read them.
They don't read them. I mean, they do read them. They say that don't mean what it means. What you think it
Yeah,
is.
like maybe your church, but the average church you go into,
They don't.
they not reading nothing empowering.
No,
I
they
mean,
don't.
it's the same thing every year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I used to go to church.
And you better come with that paper too.
Exactly. So, yeah, that's another topic. We'll go to Deuteronomy 28. Let's finish off Deuteronomy 28. Let's read verse 68.
Yeah, you need that.
So, in the Deuteronomy, we're using these curses to show our people who they are. The curses are there to identify who the Israelites are. And so far, we've read off all these curses that don't match up with anybody but Hispanics and blacks and Native Americans. That's it. That's what we teach. That's why we teach it. Read verse 68.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
So he said he's going to bring us into Egypt again. So remember, we were slaves in Egypt under Pharaoh, right? Did we ever go back?
No.
No. So what is he talking about when he says that the Lord's going to send us back into Egypt?
Slavery here.
So that's my point. So Egypt is synonymous with captivity. Egypt was known like a superpower, like America today. America is known as the world power. Back then, Egypt was known as the world power. It was known as a place of captivity, of slavery. So when it says I'm going to send you into Egypt, it's talking about sending you into captivity. So read Exodus real quick so we can get it.
Exodus chapter 20 and verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Who are those fake Jewish people?
They're called the Ashkenazi Jews. They're what's Amalek? They're called Amalek in the Bible. That's what they're called. They're called Amalek. They're fake. They're imposters. That's why they call themselves Jewish. They know it's Jewish means something like a Jew.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
It took the religion and will, if you want to call it religion.
They took our heritage.
Took heritage and ran
They
with it.
took our heritage and ran with it. That's why all these things happen with our people. So he said, yeah, Jewish people were some of the highest funders of the Jewish people were some of the highest funders of our slavery. The transatlantic slave trade, they funded a whole lot of it. A large portion of it was funded by them.
What is a nation? Nation is family. Nation is community. Nation is men leading by example. Nation is women's support. Nation is children with role models. Nation is unity. Nation is you. It's nation time.
And finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, His word,